Welcome to the Pelvic Power Hour. Real answers, real questions from real people. Today's topic, how to sleep all night without peeing. Hi, I'm Isa Herrera and I help women have happy vaginas, and I'm super excited that you are here today. Now, this is the place where women come to get real evidence-based answers to their most pressing pelvic floor issues. And today we have a question. We have a question on a topic that affects millions and millions of women. So here is the question. This question is from Brooke from New York City. I wake up 5 times at night to pee. I am exhausted and at my wit's end. How can I fix my bladder issues so I can sleep and stop looking for the bathroom everywhere I go? Now, Brooke, I have to tell you that this is a very common problem, and millions of women suffer from aging bladder syndrome. Actually, over 18 million women suffer from bladder aging syndrome, and that's when the bladder is weak and the bladder is out of control. So, just like Brooke, the truth is that this out of control bladder syndrome happens to many, many women. And we are here to empower your pelvis and transform your life, Brooke. So, I'm going to let you know a little secret about the bladder. The bladder is a narcissist. It is narcissistic in nature. It has no empathy for you, so it will make your life a living hell. It will become very angry depending on what you feed it, what you give it. And it's all about themselves. So we want to turn a narcissistic bladder into a bladder that is tamed, right? That is within every woman's power to be able to do that. But there's a couple of things that we do, maybe out of habit, lifestyle things, medications that cause the bladder to go out of control. Now, what you are suffering from, Brooke, is called nocturia. Okay? That is waking up frequently at night due to the urge to urinate. And it is common and it can be fixed. So there are a couple of things that can cause this. I've done some research, but I've also treated over 15,000 women. So when it comes to the bladder, that is something that I'm very keen on because the bladder can be a trigger for many, many other things in the pelvic floor. So we always got to get the bladder under control and we have to examine it. Okay. Now, one of the things is increased fluid intake throughout the day. Now, this is something that is on social media and it's all over, you know, um, in the textbooks, women drinking too much. But what I find that causes nocturia, that causes women to have, you know, out of control bladders at night is dehydration, right? So dehydration, really not drinking throughout the day, can cause the bladder to go out of control at night, right? So if you do suffer from this, and many of you do, and Brooke does too, what I would do is I would make sure that I'm having all my water throughout the day. Then I will cut my water out around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. Okay, you want to be hydrated. If the bladder is not hydrated, the bladder is going to be pissed off, it's going to be out of control, it's going to be urgy, and it's going to be inflamed. That's another reason why women get up at night to pee or have pee leaks. The bladder is inflamed. We used to think that the bladder was a sterile environment. Now we know that the bladder is not a sterile environment, it has its own microbiome, right? So making sure to pay attention to your microbiome is very important as well. But this issue of getting up at night is due to bladder inflammation, and that can be caused simply by the things that you are eating and drinking. And some of the things that cause bladder inflammation that I want to talk about are simple things like caffeine, definitely, alcohol, spicy foods, citrus, fruits, artificial sweeteners, big, huge bladder irritant, right? So don't consume these in the evenings. And if your bladder is really out of control, I would eliminate them altogether. I would just end those things until you can control your bladder. Now, another thing that can cause bladder woes and how to control bladder is having a tense vagina, a very tight vagina. Sometimes I'm getting stuck on my chair. Sometimes a tense vagina um, is loaded with trigger points. And these trigger points internally in the pelvic floor, within the pelvic floor, in here, can cause urgency when they're activated. So when the bladder is out of control, we really need to be investigating what's happening inside the pelvic floor. Is it too tense? Does it have trigger points? And we have to do internal work for that. And we could do external work as well on the belly, because there's many trigger points that occur on the belly here that can also give you a lot of bladder woe. So what is a trigger point? A trigger point is a microspasm in the muscle, in the fascia, that causes symptoms either at the site or can refer to an organ or can refer to the pelvic floor or can refer to your back, right? So trigger points in the belly or trigger points inside the pelvic floor, sometimes trigger points in the inner thigh, can refer to the bladder, making your life a living hell. So what do we have to do? We have to understand that the bladder is connected to everything. It's connected to your thoughts. It's connected to your posture. It's connected to the way you hold your body throughout the day, right? It's connected to what you eat. It's connected to what you drink. So we really have to, when we retrain the bladder, which everybody wants to retrain the bladder. Hey, so what do I do? What do I do? I'm telling you what to do. Okay? When we retrain the bladder, we got to be looking globally at everything that's affecting it. So how do we do that? We must track our bladder symptoms. We know sometimes that when we eat a certain food, we can have irritation. So I would eliminate that until you brought the bladder under control. One of the things that I absolutely love for bladder is my ultimate bladder health, which really has some of the best ingredients to keep the bladder under control. So we need to decrease bladder inflammation. How do you do that? You take a supplement. Which supplement am I recommending? The Ultimate Bladder Health, because it has D Mannose, incredible for the bladder. It has cranberry extract. It has hibiscus flower. It has Uva Ursi. So it's like a roto-rooter for your bladder, and it cleans it out and decreases inflammation from the inside out. So these are some of the things. Now, if you find yourself being very tense and angry throughout the day, very emotional, you have a very heated job, I would like for you to bring mindfulness into the pelvic floor. And when you feel this sort of tension, breathe in. Everybody do this with me. Breathe in. And imagine that you're letting go of all the tension, all the anger, all the upheaval in the pelvic floor. And as you breathe in, you're opening the pelvic floor. This is called a reverse Kegel. Reverse Kegel is critical for bladder function. Because a lot of women do what? They're tense in the vagina, they go to the bathroom, they push with defecation, they push with urination, and that causes your bladder to go out of control. We want to stop doing that. I teach all this in my programs, by the way, okay? Now, when you are in the bathroom, you have to practice this opening and releasing and letting go, the reverse Kegel. That way, you don't feel like there's something left in your bladder. And sometimes, as women, we feel like there's something left in our bladder, and it's like we haven't completely empty, and you probably haven't. So at night, when you go to the bathroom, you can also do something called double voiding, where you can go to the bathroom, you get up, you pee, you do your reverse Kegel, you get up again from the toilet seat, you sit down, and you try to void again. So it's double voiding. When you do this, sometimes it will help you eliminate better from the bladder. Okay, so we want to pay attention. We want to pay attention to tension, to water hydration, to lifestyle, to posture, to the medications that we're taking. We want to know if we're inflamed, we need help. So if you need help, this is what I'm recommending, the bladder supplement. It is incredible. Everybody in my community is calling it their little magical pills, and I frankly do not live without this supplement, okay? Something that I created for the women in my community because they actually needed this supplement to heal from the inside out. It's not enough to make lifestyle changes. It's not enough to strengthen the pelvic floor. It's not enough to do Kegels or reverse Kegels. Sometimes we're very involved and we need healing from the inside out. Um, Other things that you may want to do before bed, elevate the legs. You can elevate the legs for an hour before bedtime. That may help as well. And don't forget to do bladder retraining. Bladder retraining is the single most important thing that you can do for yourself to really extend the time between voids, right? Because you don't want to be getting up, every 2 minutes at nighttime. So you want to see if you can suppress one of the urges at night so you can extend your voiding time. Now, I know that I've given you a lot, but I always give a lot during my podcast. And so these are the things that I believe would help you to calm your bladder down, to reverse bladder aging, and to decrease inflammation, and to really feel happy so you're not looking for the bathroom every 2 minutes everywhere you go, and not sleeping through the night like Brooke and being exhausted. So, these are the things that I want to talk about. And I want to thank Brooke, right, from New York for sending in the questions, sending your questions. I love the questions. I picked the questions that I think are more related to what everyone is going through because I get hundreds and hundreds of emails a week. Women asking me questions. And this is the best way that I can help my community of women. If you love this, hit the like button, subscribe, because it's just going to get better and better and better as we go on. And thank you for being here on my Pelvic Power Hour podcast, where women empower their pelvis and transform their lives. Real questions, real answers from real women. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.